guys, it's your boy AD back with another video. Now today we're gonna be doing a new series called Life Naruto was in contact with your Otsutsuki's part 1. So yeah, this is pretty much my original story. Like I created this story. So yeah, nobody's ever done this what if before. So yeah, anyways, yeah. This part is gonna be pretty much about how Naruto gets in contact with the Otsutsuki's and stuff like that, and how his life was basically going on when he was like a kid and shit. So yeah. Anyways, get this video 25 like for the next part, and also go over to the Weebcast. It's a new channel that me and some of my friends created. It's gonna be mostly about basically anything to do with animes and stuff like that. So yeah, go over and check that out if you're interested. And yeah, before further ado, let's just get the video started. So this wave off with Hamura Otsutsuki, the son of Kaguya Otsutsuki, the queen of the Otsutsuki clan, as she was on Earth and had two children with a human, as she preferred Hagomo since he had the same ideas as basically Kaguya in this one, but Hamura didn't have the same ideas and didn't like that. Kaguya didn't like him as much as he did with not really didn't like him, just like didn't give him much attention. So yeah. Anyways, basically, yeah, Hamura didn't like that, so he basically was kind of planning something and told Hagomo to basically come have a couple of drinks with basically him to like a bar or something. But while they were drinking, Hamura tricked Hagomo and put like a chocolate pill into the Hagomo's drink, and basically when Hagomo drank it, it put Hagomo under like a really strong genjutsu, kind of like the Kutsumatsukami, and basically made him be under Hamura's control, which basically then Hamura was basically made Hagomo do what he did in Kanin to like fight with Kaguya and all of that, but this time Hagomo wasn't the one that sealed him away, but it was Hamura. And basically, yeah, Hagomo was basically crying the whole time that he was fighting. So yeah, as then after the whole fight, like right after it, Hagomo managed to get control of his body back, but it was a bit too late, as he managed to fatally wound Hamura, but it was too late. He managed to get away and healed himself, and he went to the moon, and yeah, did what he did in canon, as Hagomo basically would live the same life, except that he didn't tell the beast about like anything bad about Kaguya or anything like that, only good things. So, and stuff like that. And the Tell Beast understood that Hagomo missed his mom, so they weren't against bringing him back or anything. They didn't really mind they would actually be pretty happy if she came back, but they didn't really know how to do it, so they couldn't really do anything. We skip later to Hagomo's deathbed, as he basically says to Indra and Hamura, no, not Hamura, Ashura, about his plan, and they basically agree to it. And this time they don't really fight, as we skip to their death as well, as they basically die together and shit like that. And this time, instead of them basically constantly fighting and reincarnating and all of that, they go to the limbo place that Hagomo's in, and they basically have a reunion that took longer than expected, 3,000 years to be exact. Not 3,000, no, 1,000, my bad. As when they basically realize that, they chuckle nervously as they basically start to put their plan into motion. As we see Naruto, who was basically born with two siblings, a brother and a sister. Mema being the brother and Mito being the sister. Mito being the youngest, Mema being the middle child, and Naruto being the oldest. But like it's like 10 seconds, so it doesn't really matter. as basically they basically as then they basically get kidnapped by Madara Uchiha, quote unquote, as they basically everything happened to the same, right? As in the end, the third Hokage used the Reaper Seal this time and sealed 50% of the tail beast into Mema and 50% into Mito. No good Nine Tails. They basically like 25% of the good half and 25% of the bad half fused together, so it's like basically the normal Nine Tails, but like two. So yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. Anyways, they basically were sealed into Mema and Mito, and yeah. As Mema and Mito and all them were about to get picked up by Kushina and Minato, but something happened. Three bright lights basically floated down and entered Naruto's body, and he started to basically float and glow. As then he went back to normal and went down. As Minato and Kushina got terrified look on his face, and basically they were thinking that the lights were something that the Nine Tails did to take over Naruto, as they basically immediately started hating him, as Naruto was basically hated or whatever, neglected. As we skip to 4-year-old Naruto, as Naruto was kicked out of his house. Before that, his family used to basically beat him up, use him as a punching bag for my Mito especially, so that they could basically didn't have to fight between themselves but just beat on Naruto instead. So yeah, and he was being daily by the villagers and by his parents, as the last time that he got beat up, being like way earlier before he got kicked out, he basically got beat up till he puked, as then he was kicked out, but was not really a normal kick, but it was basically a singing from Minato and Jiraiya combined, as there were only like one person in the whole house who basically didn't hurt Naruto, but instead always brought him food and stuff like that. As we see a little girl in a corner crying. Her name is Bella. She is the daughter of Jiraiya and Tsunade, but she wasn't corrupted and actually liked Naruto, and knew that Naruto was treated unfairly, as she was really popular with the guys and shit. Like basically they were asking her out basically every day, and their parents even came sometimes to be basically like, oh, do you want to be by whoever is fiance or whatever, but she always refused, of course. But when she basically looked at Naruto, she always kind of deep down wanted Naruto to basically ask her out. But yeah, anyways, Naruto basically have no choice but to basically leave, as he would basically go outside the village, as then he would basically see the bullies from Kanen, but this time it was Hanabi, not Hinata. As Naruto, yeah, I got majorly interrupted again, but yeah, I kind of had to stop recording for a while, and now it's like raining and shit, so if there's any background noise, it's because it's raining, so I really can't do anything about that. Anyways, basically, Naruto would find the bullies and shit bullying Hanabi, as he would basically freaking go there and fight with the bullies, as he would get beat up, and it's not Hinata this time, it's just Hanabi. Hinata's like with Mema and shit, as Naruto would get beat up and all that. As after the beating, Hanabi would start to heal him a bit, like a tiny bit, like the smallest amount of healing jutsu that she can possibly do. Like she can't really do anything in like healing that much. It's just like, yeah, as yeah, she would be hitting him while blushing in the process, as her guards would basically come and take her away, just like they did with Hinata and Kanen. But another girl basically came and took Naruto away, as this was Suki Uchiha, Sasuke's and Itachi's younger sister, as Itachi loved her like he did Sasuke. Sasuke loved her as well, but a little bit less since he's a pretty much a bastard. As the girl who basically took Naruto away and fully healed him, finished the healing process. But again, it's not like Tsunade level healing or anything like that. It's just like bandages, stuff like that, you know. As yeah, as we basically the reason why she basically helped Naruto is because Naruto always used to basically cheer her on, unlike the rest of the family, because like Sasuke is just a prick. He's not gonna talk to nobody. He's a bitch, and Itachi was always based like in canon, but even more this time. So yeah, and Fugaku is Fugaku, and yeah, he's not gonna try cheating people on. And what's his name? Mikato is like cooking and all of that, and hanging off Kushina, and so on. So not Kushina. Oh yeah, my bad. Wait, was it? Yeah, Kushina and all them. So she's pretty much always getting distracted, I guess you can say. Anyways, basically, we basically skip a week. Basically, we skip a week later. Naruto was basically walking down the street of Konoha, as he basically was uh getting glares and all that like usual, and he wanted to basically go to the ramen place because he was basically that was the only place that didn't basically want Naruto dead, like glaring at him and all that stuff like in canon. As he basically was walking there and he saw his family basically celebrating since today was October 10th, his birthday, slash his brother and sisters as well, since they're twins. So, or troopers actually, my bad. But basically, yeah. As he basically looked at them and he saw that there was some people that were there, but that wasn't really part of the family. So basically, those people were Hinata. Oh my gosh, why can't I pronounce her name? Hinata, because she's basically with Mema, and Sasuke is because of Mema being his best friend, and he's also dating Mito, and then Jirai and Tsunade here because of Minato and Kushina, and all of that, and yeah. As basically Naruto would start to basically turn back, not wanting to stay here, not wanting to stay there and get beat up by his family, and all of that. But when he turned around to basically walk away, he gets a kick to his face, sending him flying away and hitting the stool where like, the food was, and basically dropping like the cake and all that stuff on the ground. As Mema would basically come from basically where Naruto was standing at and say, I caught the demon. As Kushina would basically proceed to use the chakra chains to wrap it around Naruto's neck, and start squeezing it to Naruto sort to basically, like his neck cracked a little bit, like the bones and shit. As Naruto would basically be gasping for air. Oh my gosh, what? Alright, he'll basically be gasping for air, but then basically she would only smirk as Mito would basically say, Mom, I have been working on something in secret and I want to basically show you it. But I basically need something to use as target practice. As Kushina would basically smirk evilly and even like more, as she would basically use a chain to slam Naruto into the ground. As Kushina would say, there you go, you can use him as target practice. As Mito would smirk, saying thank you, Mom. As she would make our Rasengan, as then it would basically change from the regular blue to a blackish blue purplish, I guess you can say. Basically a Dama Rasengan. She put Naruto's chakra into it, making all Dama Rasengan, as she would basically slam it into Naruto's chest, making a hole basically in his chest, not going all the way to like the other side of his body, but her hand was basically in there. As basically she would use some more ninth chakra, making her claws extend, and then basically her whole hand started to grow orange. As Naruto would basically starts to scream in pain, as the poisonous chakra of the Nine Tails would slowly make its way into his system, and everyone would basically just be laughing, as Naruto would basically get kicked away by Tsunade, as the speed that like the kick, basically the strength and all that basically when Tsunade kicked him, his body got sent flying away, and in the process breaking the chains. So yeah, it was pretty much almost broke his neck, since the chains were still wrapped around his neck, but his body basically was ripped away from it. Whatever. As it really hurt like shit. As Naruto was like basically going unconscious at this point, but he didn't fully go out yet. As he basically crashed into a store, as it basically broke the whole store down. As the owner would basically start to get mad seeing who it was, as he would basically start to beat Naruto. But Naruto would basically eventually snap, and he would basically say die, as suddenly the man would start to scream, as Naruto had shoved his hand to the man's chest, killing him. As then he would basically start to crawl away from the store in the village. As he did, he managed to basically make his way outside, like a little bit outside the village, not too far away, but like far enough so nobody really sees or hear him. As he made it somewhere safe or whatever. As then basically he would sit down, trying to basically put some leaves over his hill and whatnot. As then he would suddenly, his eyes was widen, as then his chakra was spitting out all over his, like outside of his body uncontrollably and unnaturally. As then he would basically start to bubble up, kind of like how Madara did when kind of like how Madara did when Black Hits was stabbing in the back, or like Obito did when like the Tentail was just starting to take over and shit. Basically, his body was like getting ready to explode, as then his body became like about 3 times bigger than normal, and he would basically start to scream. But guys, this was from Graving Off. If you guys liked and enjoy, let me know what you guys thought of this one, and yeah, give this video 25 there for this one, and for following you, I'm gonna be out for now. Peace.